Welcome, welcome. Well, I have been trying for a very long time to get my daughter Jessica to join me on the videos, and she has been resisting it and resisting it. And I'm happy to say that she has finally decided that she's joining us, and I'm going to let her tell you why she's decided to finally do this.
Hi everybody. Big up to Damar if you're watching. You're a subscriber. Yeah, I just thought it was really important to say something about the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. It's something that's affecting everybody, not just the Jamaicans who are in the western half of the island who have been facing absolute devastation, obviously, but we're all in this together. We're all Jamaicans, and even if you're not living in Jamaica, which we are obviously not, it's still something that the whole of Jamaica and all Jamaicans across the world are experiencing together. So I just wanted to come and talk to Mummy's followers. I know that she has quite a big following. She's all my friends are like, wow, your mom is a YouTube star. So
Well,
I just come in to support and talk to, all of her followers and, and the generation down from mommy, obviously. So just, to give the millennial perspective.
yeah, and I so appreciate that you've decided to join us, and I know that you'll bring a lot to this. So, again, we're happy to have Jess with us, but we're not so happy to be talking about the topic that we're talking about, which is what's actually happening on the ground in Jamaica at the moment. And to be honest with you, the more that we have been looking at social media and what they're presenting, we've realized that the actual magnitude of what has taken place on the island is not really truly being represented to people. And I must say that we were saying this last night, and then today I was actually happy to see that BBC, CTV, Fox News, they're still talking about what's going on, because I think that it is trickling out there that this is a phenomenal event that has taken place, and not in a good way. There's great suffering and people need help. And so, Jessica and I were talking too about the whole, like she was just touching on a while ago, about the whole mental health aspect of people, yes, in Jamaica who are dealing with this, obviously, but also people like you and I who are not in Jamaica. We may have family and friends there, that some people are still waiting to hear from their family or their friends, close friends, and that can be very traumatic. And we need each other, guys. Like, we need to reach out to each other, and be a safe place to just discuss and to ask questions, because there are a lot of resources available to people. And if we can get somehow across, like between our network of people in the Jamaican diaspora, we can somehow even reach back to whoever we can in Jamaica, right, Jess? Like you were touching on that last night as well.
Yeah, so there's a few things. So just first of all, I don't think, like mommy was saying, like just talking to mommy, because she is in WhatsApp groups that people who are on the ground in like St. James and the parishes that have been affected the worst, like they're on the ground dealing with the relief efforts. And so mommy has been sharing a lot of the details with me, and it's just like gut wrenching. Like, my heart dropped to my belly bottom, and I'm just like, I don't think anybody truly gets it unless they're there. Like, we're here in Canada right now. I live in the US, and there is just no way for us to truly understand the gravity of the situation and the complete and utter devastation. Yeah. It looks like a war zone to me, and that's just like every time I see somebody posting like a video or something on social media, the caption says something like, "This doesn't even do it justice." Like, you can't feel it unless you're there. So I'm not saying that like people in the diaspora like were experiencing the same thing as people on the ground in the western parishes. That's just, yeah. But I have friends. Most of my closer Jamaican friends at this point, they also live in the diaspora. And I have one friend who, she was my first best friend, and her family lives in Trelawney, and their whole roof is gone. And she was cut off from being able to get in touch with her parents for several days. And when I checked on her, she was like my eyes are like saucers. I just been bawling. I was like, that's okay. Like, you need to have a release. You need to be taking care of yourself, you know, not trying to push yourself too much right now because of the mental toll. Like, you know, we're all here fretting, you know, when we're not hearing from our relatives and our loved ones. It's not nothing, you know. It's not the same as being there and experiencing it firsthand, but it's not nothing. And
So
we need to be lifting each other up. We need to be checking in on our friends, because now, you know, I was like, as soon as you hear from your mommy, because we knew that she was okay, she just hadn't spoken to her mom. So I was like, as soon as you hear from her, let me know. So then later that day, she actually was able to get in touch with her, thankfully. And she called me back. She was laughing and crying at the same time. She was like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm so relieved, you know. So, you know, just having that outlet to talk to her mom and then to call a friend who cared about the situation she was facing, and, you know, just sharing with her that she felt so helpless. So that's another thing I wanted to touch on, is that, you know, I have done a lot of work, like personal work. I've gone through therapy, and I've learned that, like, when people experience something big, you know, trauma is more likely to happen if you don't feel like you can do something. So if you're just sitting and feeling helpless, that can be problematic, because then you're more susceptible to being traumatized by this experience. But where if you're talking about it, expressing yourself, releasing your emotions in some way, whether you're going to the gym or doing a hobby or being online on social media and sharing information that can be helpful within your network, raising awareness with, you know, people who care about Jamaicans, they are Jamaican, who can donate financially, sharing information with their network in Jamaica to know where they can be donating goods in Kingston or Ocho Rios or wherever to take to the western parishes. Sharing information is incredibly helpful. And then, of course, I feel like we all need to gather together and support financially as you have it. It's like, this is not going to be something that is going to go away overnight. So if you can't give today, save up to next week, save up to next month. It will come in handy. We need to support each other in this time.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point, because I think that we also don't realize that because of the magnitude of this event, it is going to take way longer than perhaps you might be thinking at home now. You know, we're hearing things like people are saying, if you have relatives in the West and you're from Kingston or you're from an Eastern parish, go and find them and get them and bring them home to you for temporary relief. And temporary means 1 to 2 years. That's what we're hearing. And we just heard this morning of I think it's a Christian organization called Operation Blessing, and they have taken a team of 10 people in, and they've got doctors and, you know, you name it, they're there. And
water engineers.
Right, that's right. People who are experts in handling this kind of disaster relief. And they're in there, and they were asked, I think it was on Fox News, how long they planned on being there. And we were sitting there waiting to hear, 3-6 weeks. These guys are saying that their short to mid-term plan is to be there for 3 to 6 months.
But they added the caveat to say that it really depends on how many financial donations they receive while they're on the ground. And if they continue to receive a steady stream of donations, then they can stay longer.
Right.
And this is actually, like, we're gonna link. This is Mommy's channel, so she will tell you how it's gonna go. We're gonna put together a list of resources if you do want to donate goods or financially. We're gonna put together
a list of ways that you can do that, where you will feel safe, where it will be easy for you to do, because I know sometimes the bank wire can be a little difficult, so we understand that. So we're going to find easy, seamless ways for you to give help in whatever way you can, okay?
But I do want to say that the Operation Blessings that we were just talking about, I was on the Fox News video, maybe you can link that one too. They're working with a church in Montego Bay that we are very familiar with as a family. It's also a close family friend who's on the ground working with them. So, like, we can vouch for them. Like they are, and even like the person who's leading the operations there, like thankfully their home wasn't affected. So like literally they have no need for any of the finances themselves. So it's all going to the relief effort.
That's a very good point too. Yeah, and I did mention the name of this church in a previous video, which I will link at the end of this video as well, in case you didn't get that information. But it is Trumpet Call Ministries International, or TCMI, the meeting place, and it is on Howard Cook Boulevard in Montego Bay. And they have now partnered with multiple churches in Kingston, and now with this international organization, Operation Blessing. The Kingston churches are Fellowship Tabernacle with Al Miller, and also
Family Church on the
Rock, correct. Okay, so we'll give you all of these links, guys, so that you can go and look at it and see where you feel led to support. But I must say that something very encouraging, it touched me, you know, and this is Jamaicans, because I happen to have been through Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, and I know what it was like back then, and I have seen already, like, just a couple, they had the weekend off, and they live in Kingston, and they were able to pick up supplies, water, food, you know, the basic diapers, like, you name it, clothing, and they packed 2 SUVs full of these things. They packed to the roof, and 4 of them drove down, and they said they drove and they drove because the roads aren't that great, guys. Like, there's a lot of blockage and delays. They pushed through everything, every obstacle, and they went down into St. Elizabeth, and they were there into the night, giving away whatever they had until the last item in their car was distributed, and then they drove back. And these are just like regular Jamaicans, you know, are doing their work, and they're just saying, look, we've got to do something. And so they did, and that really touches me, because that's what I know about Jamaicans. It's a very, very resilient nation. Mm-hmm. And when things like this happen, they don't sit down and go, woe is me. We jump together and come together. And, you know, I feel so frustrated being here. Like, sometimes I say to Jessica, I wish I could do more, but if we can bring awareness, I think that's at least something, and we can show you how to help.
And it's not just awareness too, like, the feeling of helplessness, like, that is removed by taking some action. And, you know, like, because we're such a community focused culture and people, like, you might feel like, I just want to be there helping, but that don't make sense. We can't all go right now. Like, that wouldn't be the thing that would be most helpful. So what you can do, if you do have connection back to, you know, the local network in Jamaica, like, if you know somebody who's in the affected communities, reach out to them, support them directly, ask them what would be helpful. Like, don't just, you know, send money or goods blindly. If you know people on the ground who have been affected, talk to them if you can, because I know it's still
not
difficult
easy
to reach out, but eventually we will be able to connect with them. And as I said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So when we get connectivity with them, ask them, what do we need, how can we help? And if you know people in Kingston or the eastern side of the island who are willing and able to go and help, like the people that Mommy said she saw, I've seen a lot of people going over from Kingston as well, and I've seen them saying, like, I just want to do this indefinitely every weekend now. And I will say that I have one friend who's in a local on the ground group in Westmoreland, clearing roads and stuff. They do say that, you know, the people that are going bad, so like be cautious and careful, and, you know, don't go by yourself, go with a group if you can. But if you know people who are on the ground willing to be doing this, talk to them, ask them how you can support, how you can raise awareness, what you can send, where the need is, and just, you know, we're all in this together. You don't need to feel helpless. If you are feeling helpless, that means you need to take action, because otherwise your mental health is going to decline, and we don't need that. We all need to come together.
We need to come together
and support one another and come back
and
stronger.
be strong. Absolutely, absolutely. And there is something that just popped in my mind while you were speaking, Jess, and it's that there is a young woman who, I'm not sure if she's in Kingston, perhaps so, but she has started a database, and I'm not sure that she's doing it on her own, but there are so many people who are outside of Jamaica or even in Jamaica that can't find their loved ones, and they're desperately trying to find them. They want to make sure they're alive, they want to make sure they're okay, and they have no contact at all. And so what they've done is they've created this database, and they're saying, look, if someone goes into an area and they see even 1 or 2 people, like find out how they're doing, get their names, like come back, get them into the database, because this is helping people. I know there's one of the gentlemen who follows the channel, and if you're watching now, like I hope you've heard from your wife by now, but he has his wife in Lucy, and he reached out to me and he's like, have you heard anything about Lucy? You know, my wife is there and I haven't heard from her. And so I can't even imagine, you know, what that must be like. And I'm believing that she's okay, and that it's just a situation of outages of power, no internet, no, you know, no connectivity. But I'm sure that he would love to hear from her, and there's so many people like that. So the database is another thing. We will link to it. I will give you some links in the description of the video, and also I will pin a comment so that you can find it at the top. And we just got to come together and do our very best to play whatever little role we can play. And as Jessica said, it's really great for your mental health, and also you feel like you're doing something, you know, in this situation.
And so, just speaking of Lucy, I just want to bring attention to not just, you know, St. James and St. Elizabeth that have been more on my algorithms and newsfeed, but like Westmoreland and Hanover, I haven't really seen as much. And you know, there's not as much tourism there. There's not as much reason for town people to go into these parishes in general when there's not a disaster. But like, we need to help everybody, guys. So make sure that, you know, we're reaching out to everybody and keeping everybody in your thoughts and prayers and support.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, it's really like, we're from rural Jamaica, up in the hills in St. Anne, and like, yeah, so my heart has always, whenever I hear of any hurricane coming to Jamaica, my heart and mind always goes to the people who I would pass by on the, you know, on the gully road from the hills down to St. Anne's Bay. Like that's who I think of first. And you know, it's really the rural people who need the most help right now. They have the least amount of resources, and also like looking forward to the mid to long term of recovery. Like, there's farmers out there. The food is being grown out there, the animals, the crops. And if we're going to recover quickly, we really need to support the farmers first and not first and foremost, everybody at first and foremost, everybody. But then we really need to put a focused effort on agriculture and making it like get back to where it needs to be, so that we can feed everybody. Because
St. Elizabeth was so hard hit, and that's the breadbasket of Jamaica.
And you were saying, Mommy, that Westmoreland has a lot of the animals.
So, I'm so grateful that you joined me, Jess, and I hope you guys got some information from this, and you certainly will get all the links at the end of the video. And thank you guys always for your support and for watching, and spread this video. Let's encourage one another, see what we can do to help Jamaica and Jamaicans, and also to keep our spirits up, because we're all in this together. We may not be in it with the people that are on the ground in Jamaica, but our hearts are certainly with them, and we want to do whatever we can for them. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. And I'm just going to add one more thing. If you know a Jamaican, if you're not Jamaican, or if you are, just practice. We're not very good at hugging up each other sometimes, but that's what we need right now. So just be together.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Bye.
See you in the next video.